Brett closes the door and then starts to talk her through it.
Ugh, bend me over the table.
She just must be a fucking joy to be around.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
I didn't either.
Throw the whole man out.
It's fucking terrible. Fucking terrible.
Get fucked.
This is your Christmas special, ladies and gentlemen. Hello.
David, hello.
Yes, how are you?
Tired.
Mm-hmm.
Still, like, I've been tired for like
Weeks.
weeks, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's ever gonna stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Oh man,
So, you know,
I should need some of this while it's hot.
yeah, I'm gonna have cereal.
So I forgot to tell you this last time. Everything blends together. I don't know if it was
Yeah,
this year that we read Under Your Scars or if that was
I
last
think it
year.
was this. I think it was this year.
But I remember when we read it, the little mini sequel that was like a little
Yeah, 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 yeah,
novella
yeah.
was not on Kindle Unlimited. So
Right,
we didn't read it because I was like, broke bitch, you know how it
right.
works. Well, I don't know when it became on Kindle Unlimited, but it popped up for me not that long ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I read it.
Yeah,
Um, because it's the daughter
right,
who witnessed all
right,
of
right.
the good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like it's her as an adult and how she had to deal with the aftermath and everything.
Mm,
It was kind of nice. I kind of, it wasn't necessarily super closure, but it was a little bit, so it was kind of nice.
gotcha.
Because you can't rewind
Right.
that, but you know,
The year's almost over, so that's kind of nice.
it's our last episode.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's nice or not. I feel like we keep thinking that the next year is going to be like a grand, better restart, and it just keeps spiraling. It's almost like we can only go up from here, right? But then it's like a new level of low.
Yeah. Well, listen, okay. The year started terrible, and I feel like it ended a lot better than it started. So like there's that. We got to look at it
Okay.
that way. It could be worse. I could be dead.
Let's not say that. Let's not go that route. Yeah.
Why? We had so many fun things that happened at towards the end of the year, and it was great.
Fun? Yeah. Fun? The world is kind of in shambles.
I don't know. President Trump blew Bill Clinton. I think that that tops everything.
I'm pretty sure he tried to blow Mom Donnie.
Probably. He's one of those people that are like big bad mouth to you. It's kind of like a keyboard warrior
Right.
online,
Right.
but then an
He's no balls in
actual
person. Right.
person, they're
Hmm.
like the softest little weak bitch ever. And that's who
Absolutely.
and that's who he is as a person.
We know he's a bottom. We've proved it.
Yeah,
It's
it's been proven. And now I love that lady. I need to see more of those videos of that lady who makes the Dom Melania videos. She talks about how much of a Dom Melania is.
oh, I don't think I've seen that.
Oh my God, it's so funny. She goes, Dommy Melania. And it's the funniest series I've ever seen on TikTok. It's so
That's
funny.
funny. That's funny.
Great. It's so great. Uh,
So I have a conundrum.
oh,
You know how I was filling out that intake to get a new therapist?
correct. Yes.
Well, they gave me one.
Oh,
Hmm. They just assigned me to one, you know, based on my intake and whatnot.
yeah. Yeah.
It's a man.
Nah. Well, you didn't specify you didn't want a man. And actually, okay, here's the
I didn't
thing.
think I'd get one because there's only one man on their entire team.
Oh, that's funny. And apparently they decided you actually need that. Um,
I don't need a
I
man.
will say I have had a male therapist before that I preferred over a female therapist.
Okay. But like, how do I go in there? Do I just be like, listen, I'm automatically going to think you're incompetent until you prove otherwise. That's how this is going to go. Is that like,
See, don't do that. Here's the
he should know where
problem.
he's starting from, right?
I mean, I guess so, but don't be a bitch about it. And you got to understand, like, I know it's hard because we talk about people not doing that, and then we are the people who do that. So we need to like take our own advice, relax for like 30 fucking seconds. I
But
think I
how is he
also,
supposed to help me if he doesn't know who I am?
well, no, explain it, but explain it nicely and don't be a fucking bitch.
But then he's not going to know how much of a bitch I am.
Oh my, I can't. He will as soon as you fucking open your mouth, even if you're trying to be nice.
But that's the thing. Do I need a disclaimer like that? Or do I just let him find out on his own?
You can give like a brief disclaimer and just like to let him know you already have biases going into this appointment because you don't like men. So just as a heads up,
As a heads up, I
honestly.
already think you're incompetent at your job just because you're a man until you prove me
Oh my
otherwise.
God.
I don't believe all men are incompetent. I just believe the majority until they show me otherwise.
Yeah. God, we are the problem that we try to fight against, aren't we?
I don't really try to fight against it. Maybe that's the
I don't
problem.
like when people judge people automatically before they even speak to them, and I hate that,
Oh,
but we do
okay.
that all the time.
Okay. I don't do it for women.
Now we're done talking for 30 minutes.
You know,
Whatever. Hello,
such is life.
welcome.
So yeah, this is our last regular episode of 2025.
Ah,
And
and
we
we
wanted
look
it.
it.
Ugh, yeah, we do. We wanted it to go out with a bang.
Yep.
Would have been better if the bang, never mind. Um, so, as previously discussed, this week we read Theirs for the Holiday by Ava Ashwood. And it is a reverse harem holiday romance.
Didn't know where you were going with that.
I didn't either. Do I ever know? No, no, I don't.
No, no, you don't. And I love that for you sometimes.
You know, can be problematic, but here
Hmm.
we are. So, this book features Violet, and Violet is closing up her bakery when her mom calls to guilt trip her about coming to dinner that evening, and she tries to argue that the holidays are a very busy time for her business, but her mother is insistent. Violet's twin sister needs her support. She's been trying to plan for her wedding, and that is oh so stressful. Her sister is marrying Andrew, who used to be Violet's boyfriend for many years until they broke up, and her sister swooped in and started dating him almost immediately after. And now they're getting married. And apparently, his whole family is going to be at this dinner, and her sister needs her whole family there too for support. Her mother tells her to dress nicely, wear something that she wouldn't normally wear, and she'll see her there. Violet sighs and hurries home so that she has time to shower and get ready, and she ends up settling on a black dress. Her mother's just going to be critical on whatever she wears anyways, so it doesn't matter. And she heads to her parents' house. Once inside, Violet literally runs into Lennox, one of Andrew's older brothers. She didn't expect to see any of his brothers at dinner because the last she knew, they had all moved further away. And when she says that to him about not expecting to see him, he just says that his father expected him to come for the holidays. And she asks if that's because Andrew plans on getting married right before Christmas, and Lennox just nods. But then Violet's mother's there asking, what is taking her so long? She's being rude, keeping people waiting. And she heads in. She's surprised to see all of Andrew's older brothers. are there and have made it into town. Andrew and Isabel, Violet's twin, have only been together for a little over a year, and Violet has been trying to avoid this entire wedding situation as it is incredibly awkward for her to be around the man she thought she would be marrying, who's now just choosing to marry her sister instead,
Honestly, I get it.
right? Especially since she's always been compared to her sister negatively her whole life. This is just like one more thing.
Ariel, do we need to take a break for therapy?
That's on Monday. All four of Andrew's brothers seem very distant with one another. The last time she saw them was 3 years ago for their mother's funeral, and she's not sure what has caused the rift between them because the three of them have always been close. Not so much with Andrew, but with each other. But when everyone is ushered into the dining room, the brothers make sure to sit very far apart to keep their distance. The father squeezes in between one of them, and that leaves Violet to squeeze in between Rhett and Sawyer because Isabel's next to Andrew and another, and the girl's parents are at the head of the table. Violet was close to all of the boys growing up, and she's sad to see them so strained and almost cold towards each other. She's having trouble even starting a conversation with them, and that makes her really sad. Violet gets lost in her own thoughts at the table until she hears her name posed in a question and is pulled out of her head. It was Andrew saying that they had a last minute RSVP from one of his cousins that they didn't previously think would make it, and that has skewed their entire guest list. So she wouldn't mind if they take away her +1, right? It's not like she's going to use it. Violet goes
Mm.
red, and everyone's eyes are on her. She hadn't even had time to think about it, honestly, because with all the work from the holidays, she just ends up stumbling out that she actually was going to bring someone. And Andrew narrows his eyes and says, "Really?" He didn't know she was dating anyone. She says that it's pretty new, but it's going well. And Andrew asks who it is. And all of a sudden, three voices speak up at the same time, saying, "Me." The table goes silent. Everyone's shocked. Andrew's eyes go wide, saying, "Wait, what?" Like, she's dating his brothers. All three of his brothers? Violet just looks to the men and sees that clearly this was not a coordinated effort between them because none of them are looking too happy about this. But it doesn't take long before they recover. And they're like, "Yeah, it's the 21st century. It's just a non traditional relationship." They're all dating Violet. Violet's mother looks like she has a lot to say about this, but because there's company, she's not going to throw a fit at the table and she just says, "Oh, well then." But Andrew is not going to let this go. He asks how it
Of
even
course
started.
not.
No, they haven't been back in years. And Violet's just this long distance, you know. They reconnected online. And Isabel chimes in and is like, she didn't think to stop. Did she really need three? Violet just says, "No, just go big or go home, right?"
I
Violet's father
mean,
asks if she's happy, and she says yes. And he's like, "Good," thinking that will end the entire conversation. But once
will it
again,
though? Will
Andrew
it
and
though?
Isabella, no, not going to let this go. And they repeat, "How did it happen?" Like,
Would you let this go?
probably not, honestly.
You can't
I'd
let
want to
anything
know
go.
lots. They just want to know how she reconnected three different times, like, or was it all a coordinated thing? Like, what? Rhett speaks up and is like, "Yep, they all reconnected separately. That's why they're all there to be, to see her and everything." And Andrew is basically like, and to be at his wedding. And he's like, "Hey, yeah,
Yeah,
and that too.
that.
Yeah, that too."
There's that. Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Isabel's
Okay.
like, it's a little weird for her to be dating Andrew's brothers. Like, she's with Andrew. That's just a little weird.
It's a little weird that you're marrying Andrew, but okay. Sorry.
Violet looks like she's going to jump the table and actually say everything she actually wants to say. But her mother, apparently able to sense Violet in some way, which why couldn't you have done that her whole fucking life? But just throwing it out there. Um, Basically ends it by saying, "Oh, now it works all for the best because now she doesn't need that plus one because they have their own invites. All's well that ends well. Everybody wins." Andrew does not look like he wins. But they finish dinner and everyone gets ushered into the living room for dessert and coffee. Violet asks the brothers for a private conversation. Once in a bedroom, she's basically like, "What the fuck?" And Lennox is like, "Good question." And Sawyer gets really defensive. Like, they all did the same fucking thing. They all had the same responsibility. Like, no blaming. And they all just start bickering about whose fault it is and who's responsible and who's not taking responsibility and back and forth until finally Violet is like, she appreciates they were each trying to do, but they don't have to do this. It's okay. It would never work anyways. Who's going to believe that she's dating all three of them? She's just going to go tell everyone the truth. Thanks them for trying to save face. And she walks out of the bedroom. Sawyer follows her out, saying, "Wait," and in the hallway grabs her wrist, pulls Violet to him, and then he kisses her. He saw her face as she was heading to meet her doom, looking like she was about to go to the slaughter. I don't know where I was going with that, but
Girl.
like she was just going to be eviscerated by her family, but she was going to
Yeah.
do it anyways, and he could not take it. And then suddenly she's pulled out of his arms, and Lennox pulls her into his and kisses her too. Then both Lennox and Sawyer look at Rhett expectantly, who's just standing there with his arms crossed. He's been kind of a hermit for a while now, sworn off people. This is kind of a big step for him, but he finally steps up, takes her, and kisses her. And then there's Violet's dad clearing his throat because apparently the whole room could see them in the hallway. And Isabel is furiously whispering in Andrew's ear. And the mom just says, "It's getting late. Why don't they call it a night?" The father asks if the men booked hotels because it's very difficult this time of year, or if they're staying with Violet. And Violet panics and says, "Yep, they're staying with her."
Girl.
hmm hmm The kisses made her head spin. Clearly, none of these men do anything by half, and she is just spiraling. And she's tangled up in this mess for the foreseeable future, at least until the wedding is over. She's just gotta make it work. She rushes fucking home frantically to clean up a bit while the men
Mm-hmm.
gather their belongings. And she's barely shoving two of her vibrators that were just hanging out under a pile of sweaters when she hears the knock on the door. All three of them have arrived. She apologizes for it being kind of small, that she bought the place after Andrew and her broke up, just so that she could have her own space, and most of her money goes in the bakery anyways, so she shows them around. She only has one bed in the house. She says there's room in the living room for an air mattress, and maybe they can take turns with her bed or something, and Sawyer says they're not going to take her bed. They'll figure it out. She does show them that there's space on the floor in her office, and there's a couch and a recliner in the living room, and she has lots of pillows and blankets. Lennox says he'll take the office for the night. Rhett will take the couch, and Sawyer will take the recliner. She tells them goodnight and is wondering what on earth she's gotten herself into. In the morning, she barely stumbles out of bed to shuffle to the coffee maker, not even aware of her surroundings, and it isn't until Lennox makes himself known in the kitchen that everything comes flooding back to her, and she remembers that she has company. And she's standing in the kitchen with just like a regular shirt and a pair of underwear. She's like, fudge. Lennox says that he's seen her in less, and Violet quickly speeds to her bedroom to find some pants and brush her hair. When she gets back to the kitchen, all three of them are there, frustrated over the coffee machine because it's a little temperamental because it's old and janky. Because it's old and janky, but it's the one she has, and she needs her coffee. She pulls out some leftover pastries from the bakery for them to be able to have some breakfast and tells them they should probably talk about how this is going to work. Sawyer says it helps that they're not strangers and that they already have a story about how they're together. And they say they've already kissed, so if they have to do it publicly again before the wedding, no big deal. They can just say after the wedding, she dumped them. Win, win, win. Violet doesn't think that's believable. Lennox thinks it makes perfect sense because of long distance. There's three of them. It's hard to juggle. The story they came up with being online is great, but they hash out that she's going to say that she was the one that reached out first. and they're still feeling things out, and it's fairly new. That'll help if there's any mistakes along the way. And Sawyer just makes the rule of no pet names. Just no big deal, just no pet names. Lennox says it's really fucked up that Andrew dumped her and is now marrying her sister. It's only right to have him have a little taste of his own medicine. Violet says nobody else thinks that that's weird. Everyone else thinks it's completely normal. Her mom thinks it's sweet. She feels crazy. Lennox says her mom's an idiot. Violet says the bakery's closed for the day, but she has some errands to run, and she knows everyone has their own lives and they didn't plan for this, so don't feel obligated to hang around or anything. Just do whatever they were already going to do. But they say they should go with her, be seen together, small towns and all that. And Violet says, okay, let her just get ready. When she gets out of the shower and is dressed, she finds Lennox in her office on his phone and stops to talk to him, saying that she didn't think he remembered that night. He never mentioned it after, and he assures her that he remembers everything. She wants to know why he never said anything. She barely saw him afterwards. He was deployed, then he got injured and honorably discharged, and he never reached out. It felt like he was avoiding her. But then Sawyer comes to the doorway and asks what's going on, and they say nothing. But he seems very frustrated, like things are being kept from him. Remember, everything's tense between the men, so it's like doesn't take much to set them off. And Violet just says that they were talking about before, and the men start to bicker, and Violet says it's not a big deal. She and Lennox hooked up once. She was right out of college. That's it. That's all they were talking about. Then Rhett comes up and asks what's going on. Sawyer fills him in, and then they ask if that's the reason why he spoke up the night before. But he says it doesn't matter. They all did it. Like it was one time, a long time ago. Lennox just says, don't they have stuff to do? And they all pile into Violet's car, and she apologizes because it's probably going to be boring for them. It's just errands, but they are entertained as she stops for spices for her bakery and then stops for cheeses and nuts and fruits. And every single stop fuels their little small town rumor mill, just more with their little 3-to-1 ratio. And they decide to stop for lunch somewhere that they used to go all the time when they were teens. They sit down and eat, and they get Violet talking about the bakery and how busy it is this time of year and how much hard work it is, but she loves it. But she doesn't get much support from her family because it's not big and flashy. It's just a small bakery that doesn't turn a huge profit. And her mom definitely thinks it would be easier for her to be thinner if she didn't own a bakery. Lennox assures her that she's perfect the way she is, and Violet's like record scratch. Like, excuse me, what? Rhett points out that they're missing out on supporting her. Her pastries are bomb, and she's clearly passionate. When her bakery takes off, her family's going to regret not supporting her. But then, as they leave the restaurant, they see Andrew coming down the sidewalk, who looks surprised to see them all together. But then he rushes to them, asking to talk to his brothers privately. Violet says she has to go next door for something anyways and heads into the shop to see if they have any maple sugar. And when she comes out, she sees that all the men are still in quite the heated conversation. She hangs back a bit until she hears her name and Andrew asking how all three of them share her. Don't they get bored? She wasn't enough for Andrew when they were together. She's so uptight all the time.
Get fucked. Sorry.
And they just say that that sounds like an Andrew problem, maybe,
It is an Andrew problem.
right? Like,
And maybe
maybe
you should
he
look
wasn't enough
inward.
for Violet
Thank you.
because they're not having a problem. And Andrew just keeps grilling them about like, do you a long distance? And they just say, dude, it's 21st century. Phones exist. Video calls exist. And they had all night last night and this morning. But Andrew doesn't want any details. Violet steps out from where she was against the building and walks towards them, which causes Andrew to see her and walk away. Thank goodness. Violet asks what that was all about and what his problem was, and they say they've been asking that for a very long time. They get all the things that Violet's picked up all morning back to the bakery and put away, and then they head to Violet's house as it starts to snow. Lennox asks her if the fireplace works, and Violet says yes, but she doesn't have any wood ready for it. She hasn't had a chance, but Rhett steps up and says he'll take care of it. He's had a lot of practice living in the middle of the woods. So he goes out and chops wood, which she doesn't mind watching at all. When he comes back in, he finds Violet cooking dinner. He offers to help, but she says she's got it. So he sets the table for her, and then they all sit down to eat. The pasta smells amazing. It is not, in fact, amazing. It's fucking terrible. Fucking terrible. It's somehow too spicy and salty at the same time, and somehow bitter and burned. And if there was such a thing, which they didn't think was possible, but somehow too much garlic. All three of them, though, chew and swallow and try to keep their faces under control and thank Violet for cooking and tell her it's so good until she tries it and says it's terrible. Then they finally agree. Sawyer doesn't understand. How could she be so good at baking and then this? She says it just doesn't translate for her. And she just gets up to go order a pizza, but as she walks by the table, her sweater hooks onto the arm of Rhett's chair and she stumbles and falls right into his lap. And he does not want her to feel his instant pleasure at her being in his lap, so he gets up and says he has to go check on the fire. Violet asks Sawyer and Lennox to order the pizza, and she heads after Rhett to apologize. She tells him she's clumsy. She didn't mean to invade his space, but he's weird and stiff and awkward. She asks if he's okay. Like, did she hurt him when she fell on him? She knows she's heavy. She's like, she's sorry. He just tells her that, nope, his body just reacted and he needs a minute to calm down. She's shocked. He's a little defensive, not to look shocked. There was a beautiful woman in his lap. Hello, he couldn't help it.
Oh.
But they just take a beat. And then an hour later, they are eating pizza, chatting away about how the things in town haven't changed or the people. And Violet asks them what they do now that they're not around. And she knows they travel, but is it for work or is it just because they want to? And she knows they had a security company, but she learns that the company, Zephyr, their security company, was sold 3 years ago and they got multi-millions for it. And now they just kind of do their thing. And it clearly strikes a chord, the whole conversation. And Rhett gets up and walks outside, and Sawyer disappears in the kitchen. And Lennox just says that everything between them kind of fell apart when they sold Zephyr. It's almost like they sold their relationship with each other, too. And Violet just says she's sorry. That has to be hard. And Lennox just says that he's got to take care of the leftovers. And then he heads to the office. The next day, Violet's back at work. She wakes up early and heads to the bakery. She has a decent day for her small shop. She knows that she has to celebrate the wins and the good days when she can, especially while she's trying to grow her business. And before she knows it, the day's over and she's closing up, just as her phone rings with a call from Isabel, saying that she's in the middle of a crisis and needs Violet's help. Violet takes a breath, and here's the supposed crisis. Apparently, Andrew found a caterer on social media who does all kinds of beautiful desserts that they hired for the wedding, but they've now bailed on them. So now they have to last minute find someone who's going to be able to make the desserts. So she needs Violet's help because she sort of knows something about desserts, so maybe she could see if they're any good. And plus, Violets are maid of honor. It's her duty. Just yikes. All around yikes. Like she never even asked Violet to do it. They all think that this is all just a hobby for her. Violet says fine, that she'll meet her there. And
Ugh.
she starts a group, yeah, right? And she
Sorry.
starts up a group
Oh,
chat
that
with the
came out real
boys.
quick.
Yeah. She starts up a group chat with the men to let them know that she won't be home right away and where she's going. And Violet gets to the bake shop and meets up with Isabel and Andrew. Just as the owner brings over several cake tasting samples, the door chimes open and Lennox, Rhett, and Sawyer walk in. Violet's surprised to see them, but they say she's been gone all day at her bakery. Now she's stuck at another one. They missed her. They wanted to see her. His brother wouldn't mind if they join, right? Andrew just like, it's fine. They all start trying cake, and Isabel's quick to say what she does not want. Andrew definitely wants to try them all, though, and they kind of argue quite a little bit, Isabel and Andrew. And Sawyer grabs a sample of carrot cake and tries it and says the frosting is delicious. And since he said it was good, Violet wants to try it. but they flirt back and forth, and he tries to keep it out of her reach and says she's too short, and she tries to climb him until Andrew's like, "Let it go, Violet. She doesn't need any extra cake."
Oof. Punch
Which,
right in the face.
right? Oh God. Sawyer pulls her closer and turns them so she's against the wall and then leans in and whispers in her ear that nothing can compare to the baked goods she makes, but she should try it anyways, and then holds some out and feeds the cake to her, and then swipes the corner of her mouth and licks his thumb, and they just stare into each other's eyes until Andrew clears his throat, annoyed, asking if they're finished and they can actually go back to what they came for.
Well, first of all, fuck of all, I shouldn't even be here. This is not my job.
Right? Isabel ends up saying that the carrot cake was at the best in her opinion, but the gingerbread is more of a Christmassy theme, and asks what Violet thinks, what her opinion is.
Me
She
personally,
goes,
a fucking gingerbread cake does not sound great to me. I don't
I
know.
think it
You know
sounds
what
better than
though?
the carrot cake.
I don't like carrot cake either, so I
I
just
think
like as
gingerbread
like a
sounds better than
I
carrot
just
cake.
my thing is like okay, hear me out. It's for a wedding.
Hmm.
Not fucking everybody is gonna want gingerbread. Go with like a safe flavor.
True,
Ish. Well,
but
then again, these people are
they can do
garbage,
whatever they
so who
want.
cares?
Yeah, yeah. I get the theme though, like it's a
I
wintry.
get
Both of those
it.
are wintry flavors.
I get it. I just don't like it. I think
Gingerbread's a good idea. I like the gingerbread
I
idea.
don't know how I feel about, I don't know how I feel about gingerbread in a cake though.
I think it would be delicious.
Mm. I'll have to make you one and we'll see.
Mm. I like gingerbread, so
I like, okay, I like gingerbread cookies, but they have to be very specific and they have to be soft.
like, and I've had gingerbread cupcakes and they're good.
Oh yeah, no. I don't know. Maybe I have to be in a mood. Maybe I'm just like,
Crabby.
then again, I also fucking hate
Scrooge.
I hate peppermint with a
I love
fiery
peppermint.
burning
I
passion.
fucking love peppermint.
I absolutely despise peppermint.
I love peppermint. So
I do
there's
like
that.
Christmas. I just don't like
Bah
that.
humbug.
No, no. I
I
did bah
mean,
humbug
you
other
have
people.
two Christmas trees. You gotta
I
love
do have two
Christmas.
Christmas trees, and the only reason I have two trees is out of spite.
So it's gonna make you like it even more. But as Violet goes to say to Isabel that it's her choice, her wedding, she suddenly starts to get a sharp shooting pain through her lower stomach, and she doubles over as another shooting stab hits her. And she just groans out, and Lennox immediately runs over to her, asking if she's okay. Andrew rolls his eyes, telling her not to be dramatic. Violet just tries to grit through it, saying she's fine, just really bad cramps. She's thought she had a few more days before everything started. And Lennox shakes his head, saying, "Nope, she can barely sit up. They're taking her home," and scoops her up. Violet tries to say she's too heavy, but he tells her no, he could lift two of her. He's got her. And the men walk out the door with her in their arms, leaving Andrew and Isabel behind. Rhett and Sawyer get her keys so they can follow home in her car while Lennox lays her down in the back seat and heads off. Violet says it's always like this. That's been really bad most of her adult life, and she usually just tries to make sure no one's around when it happens, but this one caught her by surprise. He gets her inside and asks what she needs, and Violet says it's not her first rodeo and rattles off what she normally uses, different painkillers and teas and hot water bottles. But she thinks she's out of a lot of that because this was a surprise. So, but it's no big deal. She can make it work. But Lennox says that they can go get it. No big deal. And she says that Andrew always got weird about stuff like that because it's gross. And they say, well, they're not Andrew. Lennox makes a note on his phone to get all the specific correct things, and Sawyer stays with her while Rhett and Lennox go shopping. And they end up working together because it's been a while since they've had to get along long enough to handle something like this. But even though it does feel weird, they make it work and get it done,
As they should.
right? They
Though
even stop.
my brain went so many different ways with this because I've been reading so much Omegaverse and I was like, oh, cramps. Okay. No, that's not what's happening.
No,
Girl, my brain is in the garbage, but I'm like, were like, I was
You
like,
thought we were
no.
going to get a really fun scene, and we did not.
Imagine though, imagine,
Imagine.
imagine.
Surprise!
Surprise of Megaverse is what happened. You're
Yeah.
welcome, guys. In Crystal's brain, that's what it was.
Yeah. They even they even stop into a specialty chocolate store to get Violet some treats. And Violet is amazed when they get back and very thankful and excited about the chocolates, especially since they got all kinds of different flavors to help her think about ideas for baking
Bare
instead of
fucking
what's going
minimum.
on in the pain. Yeah. They got all the right things too.
Bare
They all
fucking minimum.
pile into her bedroom
Oh,
with her, setting up a laptop on the dresser so they can watch a movie. And but okay, back to the therapist thing. This is what I mean. This is why
the bar is in hell.
exactly. And that's why I feel like if he's not aware, maybe I should make him aware that the bar is in hell and that maybe we should raise it up. Up, 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 raise the bar up.
I got to sing that at karaoke last night and it was great. Anyways,
Violet ends up falling asleep with all the pain meds and everything kicking in, and then everyone goes to bed. In the morning, the pain isn't as bad as the night before, and Violet can at least keep the medication going. So she heads into the bakery, telling the men that it's much better that day. She'll be fine. But it isn't long before the chime over the bakery door has Sawyer coming through saying she didn't fool him. He could see she was still in pain and she's just toughing it out. It may be better, but that doesn't mean she has to do things alone. He came to help, and he helps through the morning rush. And during the little lull before lunch, people come in. They get to know each other a little more as adults and ask each other questions because it's been a while. And she learns of his travels, and he asks why she chose to open a bakery. And she talks about how it's always been something soothing for her that she used to do with her grandmother, and those were her favorite memories. And she likes showing people that they're worth time and effort and good feelings through her baking. The oven chimes with peach turnovers that are ready, and they smell so good. And Sawyer realizes that they smell just like her. It's no wonder she smells so good if she smells like her baked goods. They should just call her Peaches. Remember, he's the one who was like, no, 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 no pet names.
yeah, what about those pet names, baby?
Yeah.
Hmm?
And she
Peaches?
gives him a hard time about this too, because, that was what he had said. And she thinks that he's going to kiss her because they all kind of get close until a customer walks through the door, making the bell chime, and they jump apart. Violet chastises herself. It's not like they were in public. Of course he didn't want that. And Violet tries to sneak back to the kitchen to get some space after she's done with the customer, but Sawyer calls her on the baloney, saying that he only pulled away because he thought it might be inappropriate to pin her against the pastry case in front of a customer. She's confused. Why would he do that? Nobody was there to pretend. And he's like, yeah. And he takes a breath and
About that.
wrestles himself into control because even though he wants to, doesn't mean he should. He's already kissed her without permission once, and the situation was messy enough. Violet's not this kind of girl that you just kiss and walk away from. And he knows that after Andrew's wedding, they are supposed to go back to normal. But he also realizes that she doesn't see herself as others do. And she doesn't get it. Any man in town would be lucky to have her. None of them are good enough, though, but they would be lucky to have her. And he goes to cool himself off a bit. After work, Violet has to go for a fitting for her dress for the wedding, which she had forgotten about previously, but thank goodness for phone reminders. And she texts the men to let them know that she wouldn't be home right away, and she heads to the boutique. Isabel is already there for her fitting as well, and Isabel asks if she was okay because she was in a lot of pain the day before, and it was all very dramatic.
Bitch, shut the fuck up.
Violet just explains that the first day is always extremely rough and it caught her off guard, but she's had rest and she's on a lot of painkillers, so she's doing okay today. And Isabel doesn't believe that she really left her high and dry over period cramps. Violet says she would have stayed if she could and apologizes, and they get into their dresses. And Isabel just makes more complaints about the stresses of wedding preparations, and she just must be a fucking joy to be around.
Honestly, I want to punch her in the face I'm like, shut the fuck up, bitch.
Like
Don't get
everything
married
is
then.
just
I don't know what to tell you. You're not selling this whole marriage
Life shouldn't be
situation,
this stressful.
right?
Like it shouldn't be this hard. Oh, God. And they're just finishing up with the measurements and all that when Lennox, Rhett, and Sawyer walk in the door, surprising Violet, saying they came to take her out for dinner after her fitting. Isabel's not pleased, but says, yeah, Andrew's on his way too. He should be there soon. I'm sure she's just texting behind her dress. And all three of the men are paying many compliments to Violet about her dress, and the shop owner shoos them out so that the sisters can change, and then Andrew comes. And Isabel
Blech.
runs over to him and kisses him so deeply, making a grand show. And Violet just says that they're heading to dinner. And Isabel says that they're having a date night too, because they have to get them in where they can. They plan to start trying right away after the wedding. And Andrew looks right at Violet and says, that's not something that they'll have to worry about. That she did tell them, right? They deserve to know what they're getting into with her. They come from a big family, and he's sure that they want to continue that. It's really false advertising not to tell them.
Throw the whole man out.
Doesn't Violet think that? Violet tells Andrew that it's none of his business, and Lennox speaks up and says that they do. No, they've talked about it. They've talked about all the important things. And Sawyer says it's really weird that he thinks they wouldn't have discussed it. And Rhett says, why is he bringing up such a sensitive subject in public like this? He
Oop.
needs to be respectful to their girlfriend because that was fucking rude.
It was really fucking
Fucking
rude.
rude. And he pulls Violet close and tells her, let's go. And they lead her out. So Violet's
Yeah, bitch.
infertility is not something that she's ever been public about for obvious reasons. And
Hmm.
Andrew knew that. He was just being a fucking dick. We knew that anyways, but
Yeah.
the boys didn't know. And shock and surprise, they were rock
Nice about
stars.
it.
Yeah. Days go by and they all settle into a routine at the house and Violet at her bakery. Things are picking up with the holidays, but the testosterone in the house is definitely getting to her. And she's feeling very hot and bothered. And even little reminders of them throughout the house gets her just,
Bend me over the table.
yep.
Yeah.
She gets off work and finds the house empty, which usually there's somebody home or whatever, but she just needs to expel some energy. So she just tries baking for a while to just get out some just just
Which honestly, baking is not where Ariel would go for relaxation.
no. But,
Just putting that out there.
nothing's coming out right as she's trying, and she is alone, so she just decides to take the edge off sexually. She grabs one of her dildos and heads to the shower. She makes sure she grabs the suction cup one, so perfect. She's just getting into a good zone and is quite vocal. Again, house to herself. She lets out a loud yell, and the bathroom door bursts open. Rhett is standing there in the doorway with a full view of the entire scene. I'm assuming that she has glass shower doors because they are just staring at each other and for way too long.
Oops.
Yeah, Violet starts to disengage herself from,
I could
you
just
know,
picture it doing this.
the wall. Yep, that's what I had too. um,
Um,
yeah. And Rhett asks her what she's doing.
bitch, what does it look like I'm doing?
She hasn't finished
I'm
yet.
baking a cake.
She needs to finish what she started.
Oh.
She's like, what the fuck? But she listens and scooches herself back.
It's
Like,
this.
you.
Yeah.
Rhett closes the door and then starts to talk her through it.
Oh
Tells
God.
her that he's heard her at night in her room, whispering his brother's names. He's been listening. He's been waiting for her to say his name. Doesn't she think about him too? Violet nods her head. He says, show him.
Okay.
And then when she's ready, he says to say his name, and she screams Rhett. And the next thing she knows, he's stepping into the shower with her and kissing her, asking her who she thought of that time. And she says him. He says good. And then he turns and leaves the bathroom.
Bitch, get back here
He quickly
now.
changes into dry clothes and heads outside to start chopping wood. Sawyer and Lennox make it home, and Violet recovers and gets dressed because they're all heading out to the Sweetwater Holiday Festival for the evening. The men are slightly surprised, but also not to see that none of it has changed since the last time they were there, and they end up running into Violet's parents. Her mother pulls her aside, asking if it's really necessary to be with all of them there. She's making a scene. Violet says they're just walking around like anyone else. They're not making out or anything. Her mother says she can't believe that she's not thinking about Isabel and all this. Her sister is trying to get married. It's her time. It's like she's trying to upstage her. Mother says she's supposed to keep things on the down low. Don't parade around town. Violet just says she's living her life. Like, come on. Her mother has never had an issue with Isabel parading Andrew around, especially right after they broke up. No one checked in on Violet to see if he was fine or told Isabel not to flaunt her ex in her face. No one cared. And she's just done. And she says to her mom that she's not going to hide. Isabel should be more focused on her own happiness. Violet heads back to the men, and Violet hears an announcement for a charity auction starting. She gets an idea. She puts herself down for one free baking lesson as part of the auction, but almost as soon as she does it, she regrets it. Who's going to want that? Not even her parents think that her baking is worth it. But to her surprise, people do bid. Though when a man bids, Lennox is not about that life. And he starts bidding over the man, and then it becomes a rivalry. And then Rhett and Lennox and Sawyer start going against each other, and then it just keeps skyrocketing. And it keeps going until $75,000 for one baking lesson with Violet, which is insanity. But
Yeah.
then Sawyer asks the mayor that if instead they could just change it to a combined for the three of them for
Mm,
$200,000 for the town.
damn.
Yeah. And then obviously they take it, and the men go on the stage and scoop Violet and carry her off, collecting their prize. And Violet can practically hear it in her head about, well, now this is causing a scene because
I
there she
mean,
is, you know. Violet's a little flabbergasted once they get to a quiet corner, but Sawyer tells her it's for a good cause, and now they can learn to bake like she does, and Rhett says that they should go now. Violet says, okay, even though she wasn't quite prepared to do it now, but the guy says it doesn't have to be quite formal, and they can even go back to her house. Doesn't have to do anything at the bakery. So they head to her house, to the kitchen, to start the baking lesson right now. They decide that they're going to make some scones so that they can have them for breakfast in the morning, and Violet pulls out what they need. And they decide on a flavor, and she walks them through the process, but they end up with a little bit of a flour fight, and things are going well, except like any other time the men are in the same room. Before long, the men end up bickering with each other for real. And it ends up getting really heated until it ends with Lennox exploding, saying just to blame him. He knows they want to. And Sawyer says, fine. If he needs him to say it, it was his fault. He could have kept Zephyr going after their mother died and built it up bigger, but Lennox folded with the first offer they got. He didn't care what the others wanted. He just gave in, and neither of them had a choice. And Rhett wasn't going to fight. He knew he didn't give a shit. And Rhett chimes in saying he didn't care. How about Sawyer? As soon as the deal was done, Sawyer was gone, took his share of the money and left. He didn't fight either. Lennox took the first opportunity not to work with them anymore. What were they supposed to do? Lennox says having everybody want to make sure that they walked away with money and something was better than what would have happened if they started failing clients or if their reputation tanked. At least they sold on their own terms. But they just keep going at each other until Violet tells them to stop, that they're brothers. They were always so close. And is this really why their relationship fell apart? She says she's starting to understand that maybe their mother died, so they sold their company and it ruined them. Sure, it made them richer than everyone in town, but it ruined them. They were hurting. They had just lost their mother and they felt lost. She turns to Lennox and asks why he thought taking the offer was such a good idea. He says he wasn't sure what else to do. Nobody was thinking clearly. Everyone was just in a haze. He was worried someone was going to fuck up. They had already lost so much. He didn't want it to tank their whole business. She turns to Rhett and asks him how he felt, and he says that he felt like Lennox doing that he just wanted out. He didn't want them tied together anymore. After losing their mom, it felt like a rejection. Then she turns to Sawyer and asks the same thing, and he says he felt like they were just giving up because things were hard. It was too rushed. Everything was just falling apart. They didn't get to decide or discuss, and everything was just too fast. The timing was bad. Lennox says he can see that. He just wasn't sure what else to do. He felt like everyone was looking to him for the answer, but he was just as lost. Violet calls them all out on not communicating, that they were all just reacting from a place of grief and hurt feelings, that none of it was malicious. It came from a place of love. And after a moment of reflection, Sawyer breaks the silence by saying that it feels like they just all had a group therapy session. Violet says maybe they needed it. She tells Sawyer that he has to remember how to let people in, or he'll miss out on so much and end up alone. She hates seeing him so restless and needing to go and from place to place. She walks up to him and kisses him because it's weird with the other two standing there. She then moves and kisses Lennox and says that he thinks he has to protect everyone, but he doesn't have to do it alone. That's what family is for. And she moves on to Rhett and says it's okay to have alone time, but he can't disappear inside himself. He has to be present for the people who want him near them. Rhett pulls him to her and they kiss, and it's definitely getting very heated, especially after their shower encounter. And then they break apart and Violet shifts back to Lennox and then back to Sawyer again. And Sawyer says that why don't they show her that they can all get along when they have a common goal in mind? Lennox says that they can be good at sharing. Does she want them to demonstrate? She nods, and Lennox moves behind her, bracketing her against Sawyer's body, and they take turns kissing her, passing her back and forth. She looks at Rhett and tells him, even before the shower, she thought of him too. How
Oh,
could she not? He steps forward, joins them, and all of them take turns pulling them back and forth, rubbing their hands all over her. Sawyer slides his hand down and starts to play with her clit. And then he fingers her, Rhett playing with her nipples, and they ask her to pick a safe word just in case, because there's three of them and only one of her, and she needs to have full control. And she picks banana,
full control, huh?
because, she's not thinking right now. Maybe she'll come up with something better later. They take her dress completely off, and they add their mouths and tongues to their hands, exploring her body, and they even finger her at the same time, which I gotta say,
Hmm.
out of all the things that are done in like reverse harem books, I don't think that happens very often.
It doesn't. And honestly, I'm gonna be so honest. Being fingered is like not my favorite thing ever.
But like, there's okay, sure, absolutely, okay.
So I don't know how I'd feel
But
about
there's something
dual.
intriguing about multiple
Yeah.
hands, like multiple, like, I just, I'm intrigued.
I mean, I'm intrigued all the time by multiples. Let's go.
We
Sorry.
still need to work on your list.
Girl, I know. But it also requires me just talking to people and
Yeah.
like, let's not.
Lennox tells them to bring her to the bedroom. They all do. They get fully stripped down, and she realizes that they are all fucking pierced. Merry fucking Christmas to her and to me.
Yay!
This is your Christmas special, ladies and gentlemen.
We got piercings. Ah,
Lennox has a Prince Albert, Rhett has a Jacob's ladder, and Sawyer has a magic cross.
I haven't seen that one. I did not Google that one.
Oh,
I will Google it now, though.
have we not read one together? Because I've read.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. You do that. Do that.
Rip to my search history. All year,
Um,
actually, rip to my search history.
I almost want to pause just so I can watch your face when you see it.
Give me what I want. Filter. Oh, off. Get safe,
Why
sir.
would it ever be on?
Huh.
You know, the
Okay.
other piercing I like in books is the one where they have like in the skin above so that it hits just perfectly for like clit action.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Right on
Whatever that
the
bone is
pubic
called.
bone.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yep,
I've read a couple books with that in it.
yeah. Hmm.
Sounds great.
But I've had some magic crosses too. So they go back to exploring her until Lennox tells Sawyer to start things off. And Sawyer lines himself up to go first, and he fucks her. But Sawyer, oh sweet summer child, does not last long because he has not been taking the edge off like she has, and to her surprise, he still gets her off after. And the three of them are like, hold up, that's not how it works. She's the priority. Anyone who doesn't do their job sucks ass, and not in the good way. Lennox goes next, and she tries to top from the bottom a little bit, and he tells her no, she does not get to set the pace. He's been dreaming about this ever since the first time they were together, and she's like, really? And he's like, why does she think he hasn't fucked anyone since they were together?
Oh,
He knew that no one else would have held a candle. And then we get a flashback of their time together. And it was 6 years prior to this when Violet was coming back from a trip that she took after college, and Lennox was getting ready to be deployed again. And she was bummed because she was hoping to lose her virginity on her trip, but she didn't. And they were hanging out, and he said that it's much better to lose it with someone she knows anyways, and one thing leads to another, and then they end up having the best night. But then he leaves for his deployment, and it never gets brought up again. He was honorably discharged and he injured himself. And they just never, a few years later, she ended up dating Andrew, and that was all.
that's all she wrote.
Yeah. The Lennox currently fucking Violet is saying he's not going to be as gentle this time because she was made for his dick. And then he fucks the words right out of her. And she just silently basks in the whole thing.
Feel like I either need the words fucked out of me or just the thoughts fucked out of me.
I think they just kind of go hand in hand almost.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I wouldn't know what that's like. Um, um, So they finish and they kiss, and then it's Rhett's turn, and he flips her on her hands and knees, and Rhett was saved for last because he's the biggest. So awesome that she was warmed up. He slowly makes his way inside, and then he spanks her and fucks the fucking shit out of her. He
Okay.
fucks her so hard that all of a sudden there's a crack and the bed tilts, and yeah, they break the bed. Rhett's just like, they'll fix it and they'll break it again. No big deal.
Well, no big deal.
No big deal. Since the bed broke, they all end up camping out in the living room with a big pile of blankets. And when Violet wakes up in the morning, she feels weirdly happy and comfortable. Lennox and Sawyer are still sleeping, but Red is awake, and Violet tells him to wait one moment. And she sneaks out of the pile and heads to her bedroom and brings back a leather bracelet and hands it to him, saying she saw it and thought it would fit him perfectly. And he puts it on and he thanks her and they kiss. Lennox and Sawyer wake up and they all take turns kissing her. Lennox wanting to make sure she's okay. It's a day off of work for Violet, and so everyone slowly makes their way out of the pile of blankets and to get coffee. And Sawyer tells her to get dressed and come with him. It's a surprise. She gets ready and meets him at the car, and on the drive, he thanks her for making him and his brothers talk the night before. They clearly needed it. They pull up to a home goods store in the next town over, and Sawyer tells the clerk that he's there to pick up an order. He bought Violet a fancy new coffee machine. one of
Hmm.
her dreams. She's speechless and thinks it's too much, but he assures her that she deserves nice things and he enjoys doing nice things for her. And the way back, it's snowing, but they still get a little frisky in the vehicle, which is very dangerous in my opinion, but whatever. Sawyer starts to finger her and then he has to pull over because the roads are too junk and, safety second, apparently not first. And he makes her come and then she decides to suck him off and she's going to town when there's a knock on the window. They both
Uh-oh.
freeze and then the knock sounds again and someone is saying Sawyer's name. It's Andrew. Better than the cops, but not great. Violet stays down in Sawyer's lap since the
Honestly, though,
windows are all
I'd
fogged
prefer the
up.
cops.
Yeah. And Sawyer just cracks the window a little and Andrews says he saw the truck and wanted to make sure he wasn't stuck. And
Well, he's stuck
Sawyer just
somewhere.
says, nope, the visibility was shit, and he pulled over until the storm passes. Violet decides to play with fire, and she puts his dick back in her mouth, which obviously causes Sawyer to react. And then Andrew asks if he's okay. So he makes some excuse, and Andrew asks what he's in town for, and he just says that Violet wanted some Christmas decorations, and so he went to pick some up, and Andrew's not letting that go, not letting anything go ever, because fucking Jesus, why is he so fucking miserable?
You
And
chose the other person, you dumb
I
dimwit
know, right?
shitbag.
They're
Good
both so
Lord.
miserable, jeez. And he says that Violet
Well,
never decorates for
miserable
Christmas.
people deserve each other.
Mm. It's not like she bothers to make an effort. And Sawyer just says she asked them for help, so they're helping. And Andrew starts to go on and on about Violet, and Sawyer just says that he's got to get back on the road. He needs to make a phone call first, so he'll talk to him later and closes the window. Sawyer starts in on
As he
Violet for
should.
being naughty, and then he fucks her face, calling her a bad girl.
You
And when they're done, he asks her about what Andrew said because he thought she loved Christmas. Violet says she's always busy at the bakery and she makes sure the bakery's decorated and it's festive there, but by the time she gets home, she doesn't usually have the extra motivation or energy. Usually, she doesn't feel like it's worth the effort. Nobody's going to see it anyways, so she just does the bakery. He tells her if she wants to, she has three men very much at her disposal. Use them. She says, okay. He tells her she's a good girl. And then they get back to the house, Sawyer yells out that they're having a family meeting. When the men come in, he tells them that they're going to decorate the house for Christmas and no time like the present since they have the day off. And they ask her what they need and they start to plan. They even go pick out a tree and they cut it down themselves, which Rhett takes care of. And they get anything they need in town and bring it back and start decorating. They even get stuff to fix the bed. Violet takes a moment alone in an aisle while in town with Lennox to ask if he really meant what he said the night before about not being with anyone else. And he says, is it really so hard to believe she ruined him for any other woman?
Hmm.
But before he can finish his sentence, he has his bad hand spasm a little and he drops something and he gets all in his head needing to be by himself and the moment is over because he's really like self-conscious about his injury. And they don't really get to finish talking, but back at the house, they fix the bed, get the house all decorated. They even get stockings hung up. The men go to put lights on the outside of the house too, while Violet finishes up the scones from the night before that they got distracted making. And
Oopsies.
yeah, she's in the zone baking when she hears the front door open sooner than expected. She just calls out saying that one of them had better not fallen off the ladder. But it's not one of the men that answers,
I just love that. One of you better not have fallen off the fucking ladder.
right? Because, it's her sister asking what she's talking about.
Boo.
Hmm. Violet says she thought she was one of the guys, and Isabel says she did see them on the roof. She really shouldn't allow them. What if one of them falls and sues her?
What?
Violet says that that wouldn't happen and asks what's going on. Isabel says that they haven't talked in a while.
Well, no shit, you
Clearly,
dumb bitch.
they're
Sorry.
missing something. She's got three boyfriends out of nowhere. These things don't just happen. She keeps
To
fishing and
you.
fishing and fishing until Violet finally just explains how she reached out to Rhett because she hadn't seen him in a while, but she didn't get a response and he doesn't really do social media. Then she saw an article about Lennox's online company, wanted to check in on him, and he answered and they chatted. And then she asked about Sawyer and Rhett, and one thing led to another. She reached out to them individually, and then they were all talking and blah, blah, blah. They were just being friendly at first, but it just keeps She just keeps going until the men make it back inside, and then she apologizes to them, saying she was just putting the scones in the oven. She got distracted. They say it's no big deal. They're happy to wait.
They're
And
not
Isabel says,
douchebags.
right, while they're all waiting, they were just chatting about how they met. And she just tries to catch them, like asking them questions, to try to poke holes in the story. Like it's clear that she doesn't believe any of the story. But they do a good job keeping it all laid out because they had, you know,
Mm-hmm.
prepped before. And Isabella just basically says that Violet must be grateful that they're all there and came into her life because she was just tinkering at the bakery and sitting home all day. Rhett's like, she means running a successful bakery and then coming home to rest when possible because there's not enough hours in the day to get all the work done that she's putting in, right? Isabel just makes some kind of crap about Violet being a homebody and how she's gonna run. She has to meet Andrew for dinner. Once she's gone, Violet takes a big breath because that was stressful. Her sister purposely trying to catch her in a lie is not her idea of fun. She makes a comment how it's a good thing it'll all be over soon, but the men look a little hesitant until Lennox finally says, "Yeah, sure." The next day, Rhett is at the park playing chess with this old man that he has befriended in his time while he's in town, and he plays chess with him regularly. And the man can tell that Rhett is in his head and basically tells him not to be an idiot and wait around. And Rhett's like, bet, and races back to the house. Violet has just gotten home and he walks up to her and tells her he's hungry for her and picks her up and takes her pants down, puts her on the counter and just starts eating her out.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. And then Violet sucks his dick a bit, and then Rhett bends her over the counter, spanks her, and then fucks her, telling her how good she is and how obsessed with her he is. And he says he's always wanted to see her like that. He hated that Andrew got to her and he didn't. So he had to leave town because he didn't want to see the two of them together as he hammers into her and they're both left speechless.
I mean,
Right?
yeah.
Over the next few days, they settle into a new routine of regular sexy times and spending time with one another. And Violet goes to work, comes home, spends time with the men in between. But the tension between them, the negative tension, is gone. It feels like a nice dream for Violet. The bakery is extra busy with the holiday season. There was even a food influencer who had found some of Violet's baked goods that were brought home to her as leftovers from a holiday party, and she raved about them, and now Violet's busier than ever. The men have been helping with deliveries and making sure that Violet's fed and taken care of. She just feels this overwhelming sense of gratitude for them because even her family doesn't take her or the bakery seriously. And here they are taking care of her and helping out and being such a support. It makes her really miss her grandmother. Her
Mm.
grandmother was her rock and the reason for the bakery itself. She helped Violet realize how much baking meant to her, and she was the one who left Violet the building in her will for the bakery so that she could start it on her own. And they all end up going to this event in town called the Annual Holiday Music Review. But while there, some guy tries to flirt with Violet, and Lennox does not like that and pulls her away, and they end up leaving early because she makes some kind of offhand comment like, "Oh, right, for the purposes of the lie, she's taken." And they're going to get her home and remind her that the three of them don't share except with each other. Yeah.
Girl, playing with fire.
Against Violet's complaints, Lennox has her sit on his face. And then they tease her about using her toys when she confesses that she has used them since they started hooking up. But she said it was only to experiment to see if she could handle taking more than one of them at a time. And they're basically like, hold up, go get them, show them. And she does. One toy in each hole, and they have her take them out and straddle Rhett to take him. And then she starts to ride him until Sawyer comes up behind her, but then hesitates because the toy she was using was small and she wants to make sure she's ready. So he asks Lennox to grab an ornament from the tree because that sounds like a good idea. Or a trip to the emergency room. I want to make a public service announcement. Just ornaments do not belong in orifices. That is a recipe for a big fat disaster. No, just don't do it. I don't care
It
what it looks like.
it may look butt shaped and orifice shaped. It is not
Not.
orifice shaped.
because he then stretches her ass with the glass ornament. No, thank you. Bye-bye. Thankfully, it does not break, even though with anal muscles, it should have. But what the fuck do I know? I don't have an anus or anything. I guess proper research was not done regarding that, but maybe it was, and my imagination is wrong, and who knows? Maybe it did work.
I feel like I
And
read something someone sometime at one point that someone did stick like a light bulb up their asshole and it didn't break. So
oh,
like
so
some
maybe proper research was done for this and it worked, and maybe just I am doomsaying this, but it sounds like a recipe for disaster to me.
I mean it sounds like a recipe to disaster to me, but I'm not sticking weird things into my
I'm not going to stick
orifices.
I'm not going to stick an ornament in my ass.
Neither
Just
am
saying.
I. I'm actually not sticking really anything in my ass, so like I'm just avoiding all that altogether.
Crystal and I are not doing that trend of who sticks what in whose asses.
Dude, that is the funniest shit ever.
Crystal would be like, nothing. And I would just be like, no.
You know clearly that they're not asking that exact question when
Oh,
they're
I know.
asking these
Oh, I know.
humans, but it
I
is
know. But
funny
it's
as
funny.
shit. I love it.
Anywho, when he's done with the ornament and it is intact, he then sticks his dick in her ass because,
Okay,
you
but
know, at
that's
least
a
that's better
whole.
than the glass ornament.
Maybe it was like a thick glass ornament because some of those glass
I
ornaments
really
are
hope
like
so.
thick boys. Like,
I hope it was a solid. I hope it was solid. Like, you know the difference between like hollow chocolate and solid chocolate?
yeah.
I hope it was solid. That might be okay. But who has a heavy solid glass ornament on their tree and it doesn't just like weigh it the fuck down? I don't know.
We're
Anyways,
thinking way too hard about this ornament.
yeah. Hey, at least they're using something, right? At least we're using holiday items.
Fair, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. Lennox uses her mouth and he asks if she learned her lesson, if she gets it now, and she says yes, there's no one else. And then he fucks her mouth. They all have a grand time using all her holes.
For me, though, I'd be like, I don't know. I'm not completely sold
I
yet.
think you need to convince me harder.
Harder being the key word.
Yes. Yeah, in the morning when they wake up, Violet's sore, but she's not mad about it. She's also ravenous and asks if they want to go out to breakfast because they don't have any leftover pastries because the bakery's been so busy, she hasn't had extras. They get up, get ready, head out, and they're really enjoying themselves and their morning. When they get out of the car, they head across the street to the diner, but all of a sudden, there's screeching tires and then a car losing control on a patch of black ice in the road coming straight at them, walking across the road. And Rhett manages to shove Violet out of the way, but then the car plows right into Rhett. He lands hard in the road, his head hitting the pavement.
Mm.
They run to him. He's bleeding, his eyes are closed. He's sort of breathing, but he's not waking up. Violet is freaking out. He finally manages to open his eyes and slur some words together, and Lennox says that they need to take him to the hospital right away.
Yeah,
They can,
slurring's not good.
yeah, they carry him to the back seat of the vehicle and head off. He's really disoriented, in and out of consciousness the whole way. The ER takes him right back. The doctor finally comes out to get them and lets them go back to see Rhett. They have him on some good painkillers. They're monitoring his concussion and have stitched up his head wound, and he has a broken wrist. So, all things considered, it could have been much, much worse. But Rhett gave the doctors a hell of a time having his wrist x-rayed because he refused to have his bracelet cut off that he was wearing that Violet gave him.
Mm.
After Rhett gets discharged from the hospital and they take him home, Rhett has a hard time acclimating to taking it easy, but he does like the fact that Violet asks him to sleep in her bed so she can keep an eye on him. Andrew and Isabel drop by at some point because they heard Rhett got hit by a car, which I honestly want to know how they heard. Maybe just town gossip.
Maybe, because I mean, they are technically brothers, so like
Yeah,
it would
but
make
unless they
sense.
tell him, doesn't sound like they talk to him much.
Mm.
They are
I don't know.
very concerned,
Ugh.
but they aren't quite as ecstatic about the story as everyone else is about Rhett being a big hero. Isabel asks Violet to speak in private, and she tells her that she found out an interesting tidbit that apparently Originally, the grandmother was going to give Isabel the building to do a boutique store in, but she didn't show enough interest, and then the whole bakery thing happened. Isabel says the building was originally put into her name, that the grandmother may have changed the will, but she never changed the building. So she left it in the will to Violet, but legally, Isabel is the owner. And she pulls
So
out a document showing that the grandmother didn't transfer the building name. She says it's not fair for Violet to keep something that's supposed to be Isabel's, and if Violet would just take a second to think about it, it's really perfect. Isabel's getting married. This is the right time to start her own business. Violet is spiraling and having an internal meltdown, and she just gasps out for Isabel to stop. And then all of the men come into the kitchen asking what's wrong. Well, except Andrew, who basically is like, wow, been a while since a Violet freak out. He thought she had chilled out a bit. She's so overreacting about things.
I want to kill him.
Sawyer points out that Violet's having a panic attack, and if he can't be useful, Andrew should leave. Isabel says Violet's just being dramatic. She learned something she didn't want to hear. Rhett says, yep, time to go. Bye. It's obviously her fault. They need to leave. Rhett scooches Andrew and Isabel out the door, and Lennox tries to get Violet to breathe and ends up pulling her into his arms. She's shaking and crying, and he tells Sawyer to get a blanket and some water, and Lennox breathes with her and tries to get some water into her and just holds her and asks what happened. When Violet calms enough to breathe, she explains that Isabel is taking her bakery and explains the situation. They don't understand why she would do that. Violet already has a business there. It doesn't make any sense. Violet says that that's what she does. Violet can never have anything without Isabel wanting it. That it's her fault. Her mother tried to say that she might make Isabel feel overshadowed, but she wasn't thinking. They feel like this is all very unbelievable, and they're very pissed about Andrew. They knew he was a dick, but this is just low. Violet's just defeated. There's nothing she can do. Isabel has legal papers. She doesn't care about anything other than what she wants. She just tries to breathe and accept it and figure things out. Lennox says they need to do something fun, a Christmas movie marathon, to distract everyone a little. They all pile into Violet's room. Lennox makes a comment how they're going to need a bigger bed, which makes him realize he's starting to see this as a permanent thing. The next day, the men try to convince Violet not to go into the bakery, that she should force Isabel to wait until at least after the holidays, but Violet doesn't want to drag out everything. It's excruciating enough when she gets there and she sees Isabel's clothes sign on the door and customers confused walking up and having to turn around. It's just awful. Violet was insistent on going in and packing up alone, but Rhett sent his old man chess buddy in to keep her company. Simon is his name, and he was a friend of her grandmother's, and has been kind of secretly looking out for Violet when he can because he's always had a huge secret crush on her grandmother. And they just talk for a while, and he tells her that her grandmother Eleanor talked about her all the time, about wanting Violet to have the bakery and not changing the building was definitely a mistake. But he knows Violet, and he knows something will work out for her. She's the hardest worker he knows, and she has the community around her. She's not starting from scratch, she's just rebuilding on the foundation that she's already built. He tells her that packing up can be finished tomorrow or later. She should go home to her men. The men have all had a really good talk while Violet spent the day packing up the bakery, and they're really open and honest with one another about their time apart and all their faults that led to it, and how much they needed each other, and how thankful they are for Violet helping them back to one another, and how they owe her a lot for that, and how Violet is determined to move forward in this situation on her own, but they feel like they need to do something, and they get to planning. And then, too soon, comes the night of the rehearsal dinner for the wedding. The men had tried to convince Violet not to go to any of the events of the wedding, but she feels like that is fully letting Isabel win and not making Isabel feel like she fully got to her on a whole nother level, and it's
Show up,
wrong
say, I'm
herself and blah
pregnant,
blah.
peace out, and then leave.
Right. She just
That's what
feels
I
like
would do.
she's gonna make it look like she's jealous of her and Andrew if she doesn't go.
Ruin the
But
wedding.
right.
I'm
Violet
just
ends
saying that's
up
what I would ruin the wedding on purpose. I would
I
go
know.
in, even if I wasn't pregnant, be like, oh my God, I'm having a baby.
I just
Goodbye.
don't know who the father it is. It could be one of the three men.
There, see? Okay, well, it was nice to see you guys. Enjoy the rest of your
Except
wedding.
she can't have babies. Remember, she can't do that.
Shh.
Uh, rats.
Oh no. Ruin the wedding. I had a baby. Just say that. Oh, surprise, guys. You know how they said I couldn't have kids? Well, surprise, surprise. I have three.
Apparently, I'm not infertile anymore. No, that's really, yeah. Anywho,
Is the magic of their cum. Sorry.
while at the dinner, on her way back from the bathroom, Violet sees Isabel waiting for her, asking if they can talk. Violet asks what she needs. Isabel says that she knows the truth about Violet and Andrew's brothers, that they're not really dating. It's all been a lie. The guys told her it was fake. They said they were lying to help Violet save face, and she doesn't think that they like her very much, especially since the things that they said about her. Usually, Isabel would mind her own business, but she just doesn't feel right without Violet knowing what they really think about her. She wouldn't be doing her job as her sister. She didn't tell her. She starts playing a
Into a
clip on
volcano with you. Sorry.
She starts playing a clip on her phone, and it's Rhett, and it starts in the middle of a sentence saying, "Her stupid little bakery. She's there every day, and no one cares. It's actually pathetic." Then she presses another button, and again, middle of a sentence, but it's Lennox saying, "She fails at everything she does. What do you expect? She's an embarrassment. Nobody actually respects her." And then Sawyer saying, "He can't believe he ever wanted to be friends with her at all. She's the most selfish person he ever met." Violet tells her to stop, but Isabel says, "Is she sure she has more?"
You
Violet
have
walks away,
more cherry-picked conversations?
trying to hold back tears, but she's not succeeding. Sawyer notices Violet and goes to her, asking if she's okay, what happened. She just looks at them as they're all starting to crowd around her, and she asks if it's true. If they talk to Isabel, that Isabel let Violet know exactly what they said to her. Rhett says, "Yeah, what were they supposed to do? They had to do something. They meant what they said to her." Lennox says that they know that she didn't want them to get involved and they should have told her, but and then she cuts them off, saying she doesn't care, whatever. It's over between them. They're done. They just look stunned, saying, "Please." What? Violet says, "Leave it. What's done is done. It's over." And she heads for the door and leaves. Is she fucking stupid?
Yes.
Like, she must be the.
Middle of sentence. Bitch, really, please. And this is your sister who you,
And the guys have literally done nothing but be like amazing human beings. And you
yeah.
know your sister. Like, I'm just saying.
Ugh.
Like, this is just takes a whole new level. 2 days later, and it's the wedding day. Violet had originally gone to Simon's to hang out there and have someone to talk to while the men got their stuff, and now she's getting calls from her mother because she's not at the wedding. She tells her mother that she's done letting Isabel walk all over her and putting her feelings above her own. Her mother accuses her of being selfish and not acting like a family. And
Throw the whole
Violet
damn
says
family out.
that their family wouldn't know the first thing about how a family's supposed to act. There's a knock on the door, and it's Simon saying he thought she could use a friend because Eleanor wouldn't want her alone going through this by herself. The men did go to the wedding. They were not happy about it, but they were hoping to see Violet. They're disappointed they didn't get to see her, obviously, but they're kind of glad she didn't have to sit through the Isabel and Andrew show, though they're still confused about what even happened. They know she was talking to Isabel, and Isabel obviously said something to Violet, but why would Violet believe Isabel about anything, especially after everything she's done? Yeah, why would she? They've been trying to text her and call her, but she's not answering or even looking at the texts, and they don't know how they're supposed to fix it. They don't even know what happened. They decide they need answers, and the only one that can give them is Violet, so they go try to find her. They split up. They check at the bakery. She's not there. They check at her house. She's not there. They drive around town until Sawyer sees Violet coming out of the diner. Violet sees him and tries to rush to her car, saying she doesn't have time to talk. Sawyer says, "Please, he just needs 5 minutes." She says there's nothing to talk about. They know what happened. He says they don't. If they did something, they deserve to know what it is. Violet says they admitted that they talked to Isabel. It was so awful and embarrassing to hear all of that from her sister and what they said about her. She's so confused. He says What things? They told her off for stealing Violet's bakery and not supporting her. Violet says she played recordings saying Violet was pathetic and that she worked all the time and all kinds of stuff
But
like that.
they say Violet? You dumb bitch. Sorry.
That she must have deluded herself the whole time. He says he doesn't know what Isabel said, but that's not what happened. They called Isabel pathetic, and that the rest of their family they called out for not supporting Violet. They said that she worked hard at the bakery, but it doesn't matter to the family. Like, hello? He said that he couldn't believe that he ever wanted to be friends with her, that she was selfish. He said he didn't say that about her. He was talking about Isabel. Like, hello? She obviously played whatever snippets worked in her favor. He's frustrated, and she should have known that they weren't talking about her like that. None of them think like that. Violet takes a breath and says that she's glad they don't think that. It really hurt her to think about them thinking that way. And he asks if she's okay because she still seems really distant. And she says she's fine. She's glad they talked, but she doesn't think they should continue the way they were. He says, why not? She says it was going to end anyways right after the wedding. There's no reason to keep it up. She lost sight of that. They were having fun and they made her feel things, but it doesn't matter. He wants to know why she's giving up on them.
Yeah, you dumb
Is she
bitch.
really going to pretend that it was all fake? Maybe it was in the beginning, but if they're really honest, it probably was never fake. And it definitely wasn't past the start. Violet says she gave him his 5 minutes. She has to go. She gets in her car and leaves.
Violet, you idiot.
Yeah. For the next couple weeks, the three of them are very present around town without being like visual. Violet's shocked they didn't leave. Christmas passes and she doesn't go see her family. Her mother calls her once, but she didn't answer and no one else bothers. Rhett, Lennox, and Sawyer text her Merry Christmas and she caves and reads all the messages, including from before. They send her lots of flowers. They shovel the snow from her driveway. They leave her random fresh coffees in her car when she goes to leave. Even a delivery person delivers all the supplies when she's due to get her period again, but she doesn't actually see them or talk to them. But she feels their presence and is definitely missing them. And around New Year, she starts to wonder if maybe putting her heart on the line is worth it. But she's got a lot to think about. She isn't able to have the bakery anymore, so she's got to figure out stuff. She's been researching buildings, seeing what she can afford. She heads to the bank to get some cash to possibly talk to somebody about a loan, but that doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but I don't know. Again, she's stupid. She stops at the ATM
Sorry.
and she
But
knows the
she's stupid.
bakery did really well in the last month before it closed, but all of a sudden the number on the screen has way too many zeros. She doesn't understand. Her account has over $50 million in it.
Ooh,
She quickly takes her card back from the machine and hurries inside to a teller before somebody accuses her of trying to rob the bank. The
what?
teller, I, again, fucking stupid.
I was not aware that
Yeah.
wire what?
The teller looks up the account and says she can try to track it and looks at the computer and says that there were three new deposits, each with quite a bit of money from all different accounts with the last name Sullivan, all from different Sullivans. Violet's confused and is like, what the fuck? The teller tells her it's legitimate, but she can contact the other banks if Violet needs to make sure. Violet says, no, thank you, and takes off. She has a bone to pick with some men. And she heads to where she knows they're staying because they had texted her the address with the myriad of text messages that she had looked at. Brett answers the door and she walks right in, finding Sawyer and Lennox in the living room. And she asks what the hell were they thinking. Lennox asks her to be more specific. She tells them that she went to the bank. They just shrug, saying they did it so Violet would talk to them. Little things weren't working. They figured they needed to go bigger.
Honestly, smart.
I
I
mean,
want, can a man deposit that kind of money into my account to talk to
it
me?
obviously worked.
Yeah.
I mean, she's confused. They put millions of dollars into her bank account just to trick her into talking to them. They say yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Again,
again,
can
it
I have
worked,
that?
right? She tells them they're crazy. And they say, oh, well, she deserves it anyways. It's hers now. She sinks down on the couch in shock, and they tell her they'd do anything for her. They don't need the money. She's what matters. Sawyer says he wanted to go higher, but the others didn't want to freak her out. Besides, she gave them back their relationship with each other. They can
That
just
is
build a new
true.
company, build new wealth if needed,
Mm.
as a team. Getting each other back was one of the best things that happened, other than, getting with her and falling for her. They tell her they love her. She's beautiful, clever, hardworking, someone they see in their future. Lennox tells her that they could have been something a long time ago, but he ran because he was afraid of himself. He was broken and he didn't think he was good enough when he came back. She's helping him believe otherwise now, but it's taken a long time and he's not going to run away this time. He loves her. They all tell her they love her. Violet says she doesn't have anything to offer them. She's infertile. Her business failed. Lennox tells her she didn't fail. It was taken from her. That's different. And there's all kinds of ways to become a parent if that's what she wants. Besides, they're already a family now. All they need is her. They all huddle together and take turns kissing until they get naked. Rhett even has a new tattoo to show off. It's Violet's name right over his dick.
That,
He says even if she didn't take him back, he would still be hers.
I,
They bring her
sir.
back to a bedroom and get her on her hands and knees, and Rhett spanks her for believing those things and that they would think those things about her and not believing in herself. And Sawyer fucks her while she sucks Lennox's dick and jerks off Rhett, and then they just keep swapping around, taking turns. A few days later, they come up for air and head to the building where Violet had her bakery. Isabel is there, leaning on the counter, looking tan from her honeymoon, shocked to see the men come in with Violet. She thought they were home once the truth came out. She's looking so smug. Lennox tells her that the only truth she managed to make come out was how selfish and underhanded she is. Sawyer wants to know why they would leave. They love Violet. Rhett is saying they're not going to just sit by and watch her get treated like shit because Isabel thinks it's funny or because she thinks she deserves more for some reason. Maybe she's just jealous because she married the wrong boring brother.
Oop.
Lennox says that maybe their relationship is the one that's fake. Isabel says none of them are funny and they should leave. She has potential buyers coming in. Lennox says no, she doesn't. He says they have resources and found out that it turns out Eleanor was pretty sentimental about the building. She put in a clause in her will saying that the building can't be used for certain things or sold to certain parties. Eleanor really knew the value of community and keeping something treasured in the family. Violet's shocked because she didn't actually know what was going down. And
Maybe she
Violet was
should
just,
have read some things.
maybe she shouldn't be fucking stupid. Can I just, like, maybe she shouldn't be fucking stupid.
Yeah.
She didn't actually know what was going on or that Isabel was just going to sell it to some corporate developer. She kicked Violet's bakery out for that?
Yeah, well, she sucks.
Isabel just shrugs, saying it's hers to do what she wants with it. They're going to start a family soon. Money will come in handy. They tell her it doesn't matter. The point is that she's in violation of the grandmother's will, and they could have their lawyers come and take it for violating the terms of the inheritance. Lennox says he'll make it simple. Sell back the building to Violet or get ready for a very lengthy, expensive legal battle. Isabel's pissed, but she snaps out fine that they can negotiate and she writes down a number on a paper very smugly. Lennox looks at it and laughs, saying she doesn't hold any cards, especially for a property that she stole in the first place. He writes down a number much less than the building's worth and says that that's their final offer. Take it or they'll see her in court. She says that that's robbery.
Girl, really?
And
That's robbery?
it's insulting. They shrug, say, make a choice,
Picture face is insulting.
As Isabel says, fine, but she wants the money tomorrow. Sawyer gives her the paperwork to sign because they have no reason to trust her. Isabel starts signing the contract that they had drawn up just in case, and Isabel storms out, and Violet is stunned. They say they're good at the business stuff and checked out her grandmother's will, and plus they thought about buying Violet a different building, but they know she wanted this one. So this one she shall have. And plus, it was nice sticking it to Isabel.
Yeah, duh.
And then Violet's phone
Well, I don't
rings.
think
It's
her
her
husband's really
mother.
sticking it to her, so.
No. So it's her mother. Isabel has already clearly tattled to her, and she's mid-rant. So Lennox just takes the phone, and the mother's ranting about skipping her sister's wedding and her being so jealous of her and blah, 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 blah. And now she's doing this. And Lennox just says that Isabel's a spoiled brat who never had to work for anything in her life. But everyone's so determined to coddle her with their favoritism that they can't even see Violet. The mother is just like, "Who's this?" And he's basically like, one of the men who love your daughter and is lucky to take care of her, unlike, any of her family who spends time tearing her down. And that's
Hmm.
over now. And the mother starts screaming to give Violet back the phone and blah, blah, blah. But Violet says it's fine and just takes the phone. And Violet says she knows that she's not what her mother wanted for a daughter and that she prefers Isabel, but it doesn't matter. She's proud of herself and who she is, whether she likes it or not. And then she hangs up the phone. The men kiss her and tell her that they're proud of her and that they love her, and she loves them too. And then we have an epilogue of 1 year later, and it's Christmas Eve, and the bakery is up and running and thriving and doing amazing. Violet was able to fully renovate it, and it ended up being a good thing because she has more customers than ever and it needed the renovation. She was able to hire an employee who has helped her work-life balance. The guys started up a new company, something similar to their previous security firm, but more specialized, and it's going well. The three of them bonded stronger than ever. They ended up all moving in together. Violet sold her little house, and they have a house closer to the bakery. And now they all head to Violet's parents' house for Christmas Eve.
Why?
She didn't go full no contact with her family. She just keeps them at a distance when she can. Having the men to support her is enough, which honestly is not enough for me,
No.
but whatever. Isabel and Andrew are already there. They don't really speak to Violet much or the men. But Violet's mother makes a comment over dinner saying that maybe next year Andrew and Isabel can host at their new house. And that just starts Isabel and Andrew bickering because Isabel doesn't think that the house will ever be ready in time. And Andrew thinks it's fine. And Isabel thinks it's always later, later, later. And everything's too expensive. And mother just tries to smooth things over with ownership can be a challenge. The two lovebirds will work it out. But clearly, the first year of marriage is not going the best for them. They don't even seem to be wanting to be in the same airspace as each other. Violet and the men decide to head out very quickly because they want to make it up to the cabin before it's too dark. And the mother's all like, but no. But the father chimes in saying that Violet came and spent time with them, which is frankly more than she should have done. So they need to be grateful. Now she needs to go spend time with her boyfriends. She has a family of her own. They head to the cabin that Rhett used to live at. Now they just use it to get away. They're going to spend a few weeks together for Christmas. And when they get there, they even have a massive bed for them to share. And Violet sees that there's candles and toys all laid out. And they say their first Christmas present is that they're going to wrap her up and take her apart. They spread Violet out on the bed and use the candles for a little wax play, tie her up with the ribbons, they blindfold her, and then Rhett starts to fuck her. Sawyer takes his turn, and then Lennox takes his choo-choo train turn going on, and then they untie her and they collapse into a heap on the bed and wish each other a Merry Christmas and say it's going to be the best Christmas ever, and then that's the book.
Yep, it was.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, that's just, yeah,
Who
I have lots to say.
was your favorite? Do you want to say your thoughts before we get into it, or
I think I'll say
how?
my thoughts with the rating. Who's your favorite?
I liked the boys,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
How about you?
Yep, yep, yep. Probably Rhett, the boys.
Okay.
Yep. My least favorite would probably obviously be the family, but honestly, also Violet,
I
because
was
why is she
gonna
so
say the same
fucking
thing.
stupid?
I was gonna say the same thing.
And I feel bad, but like, what the fuck, man? It was
Mhm.
fine until it wasn't.
I think that's the problem is like everything was going so great and then she lost her whatever.
Yeah.
So, no, I get
Yeah.
it. Um, Same. I also hated the whole family, throw the whole family away.
Out with the bathwater.
And then Violet as well. So,
Yeah.
cool.
So
So,
here's the thing.
do you want me to say the ratings first or
Oh, sorry.
then
Excuse me. Go ahead.
I know you have a lot. Amazon gives it a 4.4, Goodreads a 4.3, and Storygraph is a 3.82.
What did you rate it?
I give it a 3.
Okay. Why?
Well, it was good until it wasn't. I'm here for Ariel's thoughts right now because she is just chomping at the fucking bit to just like say some things. So
So
say
here's the
some
thing.
things. Okay.
I I love getting lost in Ava's books as a whole. I read a lot of them, but a lot of them are and most all of them are a reverse harem. So that's not a unknown thing.
Hmm.
Um, most, if not all of them, are 3 or 4 books in a set and not just a standalone.
Hmm.
And they all have to do with some kind of like criminal activity of some sort. So a lot of it's not usually the fuzzy, whatever.
Hmm.
That being said, it was a little outside of the wheelhouse last year to do the holiday one, but I thought, and it was a very big book,
Hmm.
which wasn't that negative because, like I said, she's used to doing trilogies and quartets,
Right.
whatever. I thought that last year's holiday one worked out really well. It wasn't everything I wanted in an Ava book, but it was pretty darn close in one single book. It was great. We enjoyed last year's holiday ride.
Yeah.
Um, this year, while immediately I fell right into it because I've been reading such trash lately. I've just been reading,
What a
just going.
sentence to start that with.
I've been going through like a little raccoon trash panda. Like I've just
Yeah.
been reading whatever the fudge I feel like, and lately it's been trying to gorge myself on shifter stuff, and just sometimes those are just so hit or miss, and I've been just missing
Hmm.
a lot lately. So the writing is just trash. The stories might not be trash, but the writing is trash.
Hmm.
So it was so nice for me to start picking up this book. And it was like something I can always count on with Ava is the writing flows so it doesn't feel like you're reading a
Yeah.
ridiculously heavy book.
Right.
Because, but some of the books that I had been reading lately, they might only be like 150 pages, but it feels the way the writing is, it feels like you're reading like a 600-page book and you're like, ugh, I hate this. So I was like, oh, so happy to be in oh, this actually is like working for me. Like
Hmm.
I can read this steadily without having to like micromanage every freaking sentence. I'm not like having errors all the time. Like this is great for my brain. I can actually like relax into this. It was awesome. I was here for the men. Like they were great. They were a little too fantasy, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
They
Like
were a
they're
little
really a little
too
too perfect.
dimensional. Yeah. They they were a little, in my opinion, they were not deep enough.
Yeah.
We had surface level characters here, which is not like her typical stuff. But I was waiting. I was waiting for, and instead of we us getting more deep, we got a weird third act breakup that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And it just made her seem really stupid for no reason.
And I'm gonna be honest, I hate
It's
a
not my
third act
favorite
breakup
anyways, but
so
if it
much.
makes
But
sense,
if it
I
makes
will
sense in the
be
grand scheme
there.
of things, like
Right.
I
This one didn't it make sense to me,
I
and I
like being
I hope
surprised,
I'm
but not
wrong.
surprised about stuff like this.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, and I don't want it to sound like that because I genuinely like whatever, but it felt to me especially since we didn't hear about this book until really late. It almost felt to me like she was like, "Oh, crap, people want a holiday
A
book.
holiday
Let me
book.
whip one up." And it didn't get the same amount of care as the rest of
Uh,
them. I hope I'm wrong. Actually, no, you know what? I hope I'm not wrong because that means that this is what this book is, and this wasn't indicative of other things.
yeah,
But that's what this book felt like to me.
gotcha.
I was really happy with the writing because I got sucked into this world. I was happy with the boys because it let me escape for a little while. I just wish the characters had some fucking depth that I'm used to with her shit. I understand it was one book, but she can do
Yeah.
that with one book. We've seen it.
Right, right, right.
So I rated it 4 stars. It could have been lower for me, but it also started out way higher, and it was way higher halfway through.
Mm,
Like it was a really solid book until about halfway through. So it just dropped for me.
yeah.
And then compared to the other things I was reading. I will tell you, I immediately had to switch gears because I could not go back to a dumpster fire. And I picked up a quartet of hers that I had been holding on to that I just
Yeah.
hadn't had the time to read because I just knew I was going to get sucked in to this
Yeah.
quartet. And I was like, nope, I'm going to read that. And I'm already like halfway during the first book, and these characters already have so much more and so much like I'm here for it.
But we've
We
also
already have
always said like
so
not every author is gonna have
every book hit.
every book
Nope.
hit and not every and honestly there's some people who like prefer even like so say we don't like a book from a specific author,
Mhm.
other people will love that book from that author. But again,
Sure.
like we've
And
all and
if
that's
somebody just
fine.
wanted a mindless whatever,
Then this
I
is what
just
that's
am
what
used to getting more
right.
depth out of
Right, right, right.
my books with her. And it just, I didn't like the whiplash of thinking one thing about a character and then having her be the stupidest human on the planet. And then all of a
That was
sudden
a
it
little
weird.
annoying, yeah.
Right.
No,
So
I agree with that one. But no, I mean we've always
it
said
was
like
still a good book and it was still written well. And I liked most of the people and the concept, but
right.
it fell a little short for me. That's where I was at.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, which is I mean, you know,
and the scenes could have been much better for a reverse harem.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not necessarily, but it could have been more, or you know what I mean? It wasn't bad, the
Hmm.
ones that were there, it just wasn't a lot.
Right.
That being said, for the peppers, I'm going to say um it was a Serrano and a half, and I'm giving him a half for the weird bulb.
Yeah. Don't put glass bulbs
No, in your
in your
ass.
ass, please.
Let's not put them anywhere. But I
Oh,
would
that
also
would be.
survive.
I would also survive. I'd have a great time, but I also wouldn't be as stupid, so there's that. Yeah. I wouldn't be as stupid. So, or maybe I would be. Who knows? Sometimes. No, I wouldn't be. I don't know why I'm trying to delude myself into thinking anything else. Alrighty.
So, this is our last book of 2025
Yeah.
for January for Crystal's birthday. We are just doing specials because she is so special. And we're doing birthday books for her birthday. But starting in February for 2026, we have a brand new wheel. And with our brand new wheel, we did a brand new thing.
Yeah, we did.
We did not take requests and do random books and stuff, which we still are taking requests for next time or,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
any other
yeah.
time or
Our next
specials.
wheel will be a request wheel. This is just a special wheel
This is an
because
odd, yeah.
we
We
decided to cause a
thought,
little chaos at the
yeah,
beginning of the year for
little
ourselves.
mayhem. But we talk so much about how we like to try to be outside of our wheelhouse or try to do different things, but then sometimes we get into a rut of like, oh, then we're stuck doing those same things. So we thought we'd make things quite different. And Crystal challenged me to find 6 different books for me, and I challenged Crystal to find 6 different books for her. And they had to hit very niche categories, which we will talk about as we spin. And then we even allowed Angie to pick one for each of us too. So
We
This is
each came
our
with.
niche wheel.
This is a very, this is a, and when we say niche wheel, we mean Ariel gave me a prompt that said creative sex toys and or extremities that can be used as such, or mega unhinged,
Hmm.
or oh, what FMC mafia boss guy is just a decent, like we literally, we went niche with it. And
Yeah.
like, it really challenged
A
our
Groundhog Day
researchability.
concept.
Yeah, we
Like,
researched our
yeah.
abilities to try to like figure, it was an
Caveman.
interest, yeah, caveman, like
Like
because
we like very specific instead of just like
dual hitmen and its
right.
enemies to like,
Instead of just types or what is the word I'm looking for? Instead of just genre types, we went very specific. This is
yeah,
what you have to find.
which is not very easy.
No, it took us a while to build this. So this is not something we're probably
I
going to be
think we've
doing
been
all
working
the
on this
time.
since like the summer.
Yeah, we've
So,
been working on this for a long time, like 6 months or so. So hopefully it works. We shall see. But let's spin.
so for the
See what the
first spin, yeah, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready.
I am
What
also
book are we going to
nervous.
start our first episode of 2026 with? Well, not special.
Look at this beautiful bitch that we haven't seen in so long.
I'm waiting for it to load.
You know.
There it goes. Oh, and it's so full.
Are you ready?
I am so ready.
All right, let's spin it. That's so sad.
I'm so. I'll edit later.
Thank God it didn't land on the other one. Play Dirty, and I believe this is my book.
Is it? All right. What
It is
niche
this one.
category is this one, Crystal?
All right, hold on one second. Dual Hitmen.
Oh, okay. So we're going
And
to start off as a
I went
hitman.
apparently even nicher with this, and it is Dual Hitmen, and it's an MM book.
Okay.
And do not be alarmed that it is a book too, because it is a standalone in the series. I read the instructions.
Solid.
That's not how that
Yes.
works.
The niche category was dual hitmen slash killers wanting enemies to lovers style.
Yes. So this is Play Dirty by Nev Wilder and Onley James. When you talk, chaos follows, and I forget who I am. Madigan has spent his life indulging in the world's most hedonistic pursuits, his skills as a sharpshooting killer for hire paving his way. Asriel, an assassin referred to as the Angel of Death, is a chemist and a loner, his poisons as lethal as they are undetectable. A chance encounter leads to a passionate night and a heated rivalry that spans years. But after they're both offered a chance at big money by taking out elite targets on a mysterious hit list, they find themselves once again in each other's ways, and then in each other's arms. Trust doesn't come easily for either of them, but no matter how far they stray, fate always seems to pull them back together. In a profession where your partner is just as likely to kill you as kiss you, maybe trust is as close to love as they can get. Play Dirty is a steamy, action packed thrill ride of a romance with an HEA, no cliffhangers, thank fuck. It features two stubborn rival assassins who can't seem to stop tempting each other, a bit of knife play, oopsies, a die-hard style Christmas, plenty of dark humor, and true love. Because even assassins deserve their soulmates.
Solid.
So this will be interesting. And
That's how we're going to
also,
start
yeah, this,
2026 regular episodes
yay, with murder.
with murder. Murder
And
and mayhem
and apparently knife play.
and
So
knife
oopsie
play.
bloop,
Just what
oopsie
Crystal asked
poopsies.
for Christmas. Well, we'll see you for our specials
Yes.
and join us for our brand new wheel extravaganza. Make sure to keep
Yay.
reading.
And keep it smutty.
She didn't expect any. She didn't. Sawyer and Rhett are no. The other two are Sawyer and Rhett. Isabel, nope. Andrew. Oh my fucking Jesus shit. What up?
Oh my fucking Jesus shit,
That
girl.
is 2025, folks.
Holy balls.
And She gets off work and comes
Wants to
home to
get off.
find
Sorry,
and comes
I'm sorry.
Did you read this?
I did. I'm just being a problem. I'm sorry. I'm gonna mute myself.
I want you to know this says clits. I think you only have one.
You
Pretty
think?
sure. I'm pretty sure. Like I do. I don't know about other people, but maybe I'm deficient.
Depends on who you ask.
Yes. Yes, it
Sorry.
does. Yes, it does.
I don't
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.